topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Powerful Business Strategies, where you will find out that everything you have ever learned about growing your business is wrong. Finally, a show where you'll learn the right way to grow your business by learning business and financial strategies that your competition isn't doing. And now, here is your host, President of Next Step CFO, Michael Barbarita. And joining Michael for today's show as an executive moderator is Chucky Obia.
Yes, this is Chucky, and I believe that gratitude is undefeated and growth is about the next step. It is an honor for me to moderate today's discussion with my good friend, Michael. Michael, how are you?
Very good. Thank you, Chucky. Very good. My name is Michael Barbarita of Next Step CFO. And Next Step CFO is a fractional CFO and strategic implementation firm. Our vision is to ensure overwhelmed business owners achieve the time freedom and consistent profits to build a legacy and the life they desire. Our mission is dedicated to guiding small business owners to leveraging their time, exploding their profits, and building a meaningful legacy. And this show, Powerful Business Strategies, in our book of the same name, is a step toward accomplishing that vision and mission. So with that, I'd like to hand it back to my co-author and moderator for the show, Chucky Obia.
Michael, look, I'm quite inspired by today's episode. The title is The Hidden Profit Formula, Finding Money Your Competition is Missing. And Michael, as you know, we're growing our interest in really helping business owners do what the competition isn't doing with their strategy and their growth plans, particularly this time of the year, right? It's just really interesting. So before we get into it, Michael, just a quick disclaimer. So Michael and I are both affiliated with a number of different organizations, and I currently serve as a managing director of business development for Vedder Price, a global business-focused law firm. In addition to that, it's truly an honor to collaborate with my friend Michael to moderate business roundtables and document best practices from those roundtable discussions with business owners. But please note that the opinions expressed, the views expressed in today's show are based on our personal success experiences. But my mission as the fearless moderator for today's show is just to ask the right questions and to help you, the listener, learn the best strategies that the competition isn't doing. So with that, I want to toss it back over to Michael.
Thank you, Chucky. So did you know that most businesses capture less than 60% of their potential profit? So think about that.
Wow.
Well, yeah, 40% of your possible profit is slipping right through your fingers every single day. And I'm not talking about cutting expenses or raising prices. I'm talking about money that's sitting right in your business that you can't see because you're looking in all the wrong places. So over the next 40 minutes or so, I'm going to share specific strategies that have helped business owners uncover these hidden profits. And I'll show you exactly how one business owner found an extra $157,000 in annual profit without spending a dime on marketing or raising their prices. Think about that and think about what that kind of money could mean for your business and your family. And I'm going to give you examples of what I call the hidden profit formula. This is a systematic way to find money in your business that your competition is completely missing. And the best part is once you know where to look, you can repeat the process over and over again. So grab that pen and paper because I'm going to share strategies that will completely change how you think about profit in your business. And if you're driving, don't worry, you can catch the episode again on our podcast at powerfulbusinessstrategies.com. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about finding hidden profits in your business. And I promise to show you exactly how to do that. So let me tell you about Jim. Jim runs a successful distribution company. And like most business owners, He was focused on the obvious ways to increase profit. Sell more, cut costs, maybe raise prices a bit. But it was missing something huge. And I'm going to show you exactly what it was. So the first place we looked for hidden profit is what I call the invisible inventory. So, and I know what you're thinking. Michael, I know exactly what's in my inventory, and I get that. But here's what we discovered when we dug deeper with Jim's company. We did what we called a velocity analysis of his inventory. It's basically inventory turns, some people call it. And instead of looking at what he had in stock, we looked at how quickly different items moved through his warehouse. And here's what we found. So 35% of his inventory hadn't moved in over a year. So that's cash that was sitting on the shelves, gathering dust and eating up storage space. But then another 25% of his inventories was moving so quickly that he was constantly running out. So he was losing money on both ends. Too much of what wasn't selling, not enough of what was. So we implemented what we call the inventory sweet spot system. And here's how that worked. So you create 4 zones right on the floor, 4 areas, right on right where the inventory is being stored. And you come up with a red zone. And what's in the red zone are items that haven't moved in 6 months. And you put all those items that haven't moved in 6 months into the red zone. Into the yellow zone, items with sporadic movement. So they were moving faster than the stuff that wasn't moving, but not that fast. The green zone was fast-moving items. And the blue zone were critical items regardless of movement. So these are just the real important stuff that was critical to the majority of the customer base. So for each zone, we created a specific action plan. So the red zone, where the items that haven't moved in 6 months, we liquidated or returned to the vendor. Or here's another thing that's interesting. You could bundle them with the fast-moving stuff just to get rid of it. And basically, increase the price marginally. The yellow zone, where items with sporadic movement, you reduce the quantities and negotiate better vendor terms negotiate better terms with the vendors. In the green zone, this was for fast-moving items. This is where we increase stock and we set up an automated reordering system. And in the blue zone, which was the critical items regardless of movement, we maintained safety stock regardless of cost. So we knew we always had stuff in the blue zone and also in the fast-moving items. So we made sure we always had excess inventory there, but we made sure that we had very low levels of inventory in the red and the yellow zone. And so the results were interesting because in 90 days, just 90 days, inventory carrying costs dropped by $12,000 a month. Storage space decreased by 40%. Stockouts reduced by 85%. And rush shipping costs were nearly eliminated because everything was available that really moved. When you understand what moves and what doesn't, you can really eliminate those rush orders in terms of the additional shipping costs and the disruption. But here's what's really interesting. His overall profit increased by $157,000 annually just from better inventory management. And that's money that was literally sitting in his shelves. So let me show you another example that will really drive this home. So Sarah, she runs a successful service business. And she thought she knew her profit margins on every service that she offered. But when we did what we called a true cost analysis, we found out something that we just weren't aware of. We broke down every service into its smallest components. So that means direct labor time, materials and supplies, and any additional hidden supplies that we used on these jobs, by the way, equipment usage, administrative time, follow-up time, and hidden costs like travel or setup that she wasn't considering at all. So direct labor time, materials and supplies, she always was considering. She did miss some supplies that she thought were just, part of the cost of doing business. But it really came down to where she found the pickup was equipment usage, administrative time, follow-up time, and travel or setup. And what we discovered is her most popular service, the one she thought was the most profitable, was actually losing money on 30% of her jobs because she wasn't accounting for those invisible costs. She wasn't tracking time spent on quote revisions. Wasn't tracking multiple site visits. She's only counting one site visit. She wasn't tracking additional administrative work to complete that job. She wasn't accounting for or tracking equipment setup and breakdown time. She wasn't tracking travel time between the jobs. So once we identified these hidden costs, we created a profit protection protocol for every service. And so now we track the base service time, the support time requirements, which was totally missing, the travel radius zones, the setup and breakdown time was totally missing, additional administrative requirements, and follow-up needs. And then we repriced her services based on true costs. And here's what ended up happening. She actually lowered prices on some services and raised them on others. And the result was her overall profit increased by 42% in just 90 days, just by understanding her costs. She wasn't understanding she just wasn't understanding what her product, what her service cost was. And when we broke it down, and we had to go really deep because things like that setup and breakdown time, it's just something that some business owners never consider.
Yeah.
And some additional administrative requirements. That's another thing. And then a lot of the follow-up needs, that those costs that get incurred after the sale is delivered. That's another thing that wasn't considered. And once we knew the true cost of every component of her service, we could start optimizing each one. And we found that small changes in how jobs were scheduled would compound on each other and could save 45 minutes of travel time a day if the scheduling was done properly. And that's almost 4 hours a week of pure profit opportunity that was being wasted. So this is just the first place where we look for hidden profit. Most business owners are just focused on sales, margins, expenses, cutting expenses, maybe increasing prices, but they miss these invisible profit drains. It's like having a leak in your profit bucket, but you just can't see where the water's coming out. So let me show you something even going a little deeper here with the hidden profits. So remember when I mentioned those invisible costs that Sarah discovered in her service business? Well, there's another layer to this that most business owners never see. And that's what I call a profit chain reaction. And here's a great example. When we worked with a manufacturing client, we discovered that they were losing money on rush orders. Now, most business owners would say, well, let's just charge more for rush orders. But that's just surface level thinking. When we dug deeper, here's what we found, that rush orders disrupted regular production. So there wasn't just an additional cost of, rushing. There was this disruption to regular production. This caused delays in standard orders. The delayed orders led to overtime costs. Overtime led to quality issues due to the fatigue of employees. And then the quality issues led to a warranty claim, or led to more warranty claims. So it was like a domino effect that was actually costing this manufacturing company $200,000 a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was just all these hidden costs that were developing just from rush orders. You might think it's not a big deal. You get it out quicker, but it just caused all kinds of disruption to the regular standard orders. And the cost was a lot bigger than what they were charging for the rush orders. And so we divided their production capacity into 3 zones. So a green zone for standard capacity, a yellow zone for flex capacity. And by the way, the green zone for standard capacity was 80%. 80% of their orders were like standard orders. 15% was some flexible timing was when the customer needed it.
Okay.
That was in the yellow zone. In the red zone, that was where the emergency stuff was. And that was really just 5% of the business, but it caused all this disruption. And so then we priced each zone differently. The standard pricing was in the green zone. That was the 80% of the orders. 15% of the orders was flex in terms of timing when they needed it. That was a 50% premium. And then there was 100% premium on the red zone. So that we properly pricing it. So because of the cost that it was really causing. And then, so they hired a swing shift crew that only worked when yellow or red zone orders came in. And the results was that regular production never got disrupted. Quality issues dropped by 85% in terms of quality problems from the field. That dropped 85%. Overtime costs practically disappeared. Rush order profits increased by 300% because we were finally pricing it right. And then customer satisfaction hit an all-time high because there was less quality issues.
Wow. So
this is what I mean by finding hidden profits. It's not just about raising prices or cutting costs. It's about understanding the entire profit ecosystem in your business. Every problem, every bottleneck, every customer complaint is actually pointing you toward hidden profit opportunities. And so when we come back from our 90-second break, we'll talk more about finding hidden profits in your business.
Great.
Hey there, business owners. Let me ask you something. Are you tired of blending in with your competitors? Frustrated with slow growth and slim margins? Well, I've got news for you. Everything you've ever learned about growing your business is wrong. But don't worry. I'm here to let you in on a secret weapon. Your position of market dominance. It's what sets you apart, makes you irreplaceable, and has customers lining up at your door. My name is Michael Barbarita from Next Step CFO. I know what you're thinking. Sounds great, Michael, but how do I find my position of market dominance? Well, that's exactly why we've created our game-changing implementation program called Next Step to Market Dominance. In just 90 days, we'll guide you step by step to a position of market dominance by uncovering your unique strengths that competitors can't touch, by crafting a message that resonates deeply with your ideal customer, by building a strategy that turns you into the go-to expert in your field. Now, this isn't theory. These are battle-tested strategies that have helped businesses like yours double, triple, and quadruple their revenue. Don't let another quarter go by struggling to stand out. It's time to dominate your market, period. Go to nextstepcfo.net/contact, fill out the form, and in the message section, put the word dominate. Or call us at 781-326-3822. That's nextstepcfo.net/contact, or call us at 781-326-3822.
So welcome back. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about finding hidden profits in your business. And I'm going to show you something that will completely change how you think about pricing and profitability. So let me introduce to you what I call the profit multiplier matrix.
Perfect. And Michael, before we jump into that, let's take some questions because we've gotten some really good activity here from business owners who are listening. So here's kind of a high-level question. Hidden profits. Why call it hidden?
Well, the main reason why we call it hidden is because as business owners, we always think just about sales, expenses, raising prices, cutting costs, our gross profit margin, all important stuff, by the way. I don't want to minimize it. It's very important. But if you listen to, or if you look at your process and you listen to customer complaints, you can find actually hidden profit opportunities, not just assuage the customer or satisfy the customer by solving whatever issue that they might have, but also going deeper and seeing what could be profitable. Instead of thinking about all this stuff as a negative or a cost,
Yeah.
look and see where the profit can be and charge for it. Like in the case of one of those examples that I gave you, the rush orders were killing them.
Exactly.
It was disrupting the whole place. So when a customer has a rush order, you really have to try to understand what is taking place from a cost standpoint, and see where you can optimize your pricing.
Brilliant.
To coordinate that. It's just a scenario, especially like inventory. That's another thing. You know what your inventory is, you know where it is, but you just don't know how fast it's moving. And you've got to identify how fast it's moving, because if it's slow moving stuff, you got to get rid of it at any cost. At any cost.
It's funny, Michael, we're getting some really good comments here. A couple of amens to that, right? You know, a couple of thumbs up. Another kind of really quick question. So this idea, oftentimes when you have these conversations around hidden profits or where to find profit in a business, the concept of value perception comes in. It's like, how can I position something to the marketplace where customers would have the right value perception of that? And we may get into this later, but I would love just your quick.
Actually, we wouldn't get into this later, so we just get into now. Well, that's where that position of market dominance comes in, because you need to identify the problem the customer has that they don't want, while coming up with a unique solution that they want, they can't find.
Nice.
And once you have that in place, then the music will stop. You'll get and then you'll start to. That's where the value comes in. That's where you increase that value of what you offer by identifying that problem. Because without identifying the problem, you're doing all this Me Too stuff, and you're not really focusing on value.
Yeah,
but
Michael,
that's another hidden area when you look at it, because it's the messaging that really drives the revenue, drives the sales. And that position of market dominance is critical.
Michael, you might like this when you talked about that's where the music starts. A lot of folks are saying, is that rock music? Is that classical music? Just bring it on. Bring it on.
It's when the music stops that you have to worry.
Exactly.
And it's any kind of music that you like, that you think of relative to a productive business.
I love that. Yeah, good point.
So let me tell you about Mike, who runs a successful HVAC company. And like most contractors, he had a standard pricing system: parts, labor, markup, done. And he thought he was maximizing his profit. But here's what he discovered when he dug deeper. He did what he called a value perception analysis. So instead of just looking at what things cost, he looked at what customers actually valued. I guess this is something toward the question you were asking as well, Chucky.
Yes.
And here's what he found. He found 65% of customers would pay more for same-day service. He found that 78% would pay premium prices for weekend availability. This is an HVAC company. 82% would pay extra for a guaranteed appointment times. And 90% would pay more for 24/7 emergency service. And Mike wasn't charging differently for any of those things. He was literally giving away premium services at standard prices. So he created service tier values. So this tier 1 was standard service, regular hours, regular response times. It's the more common stuff. Tier 2 was priority service. So same day, guaranteed times. Tier 3 was premium service, which is weekends and after hours. And tier 4 was emergency, 24/7, immediate response. And each had clear pricing and clear benefits. So talk about value. The customer actually saw value in same-day service, in weekend service, in 24/7 service. And they were willing to pay for it. And he was charging standard for priority service, which is same day. Charging standard for weekends and after hours. He was charging standard for emergencies. So 70% of customers chose a higher tier than basic service. 70%. Where that 70% was paying the standard rate. And his average ticket increased by 45%, and customer satisfaction went up because everything was more organized. And not only did the customer appreciate that, but the employees worked better when they knew exactly what was going on and how the systems work for same day, for weekends, for and his cost to deliver that, by the way, his average ticket increased by 45%, but his delivery only increased by 15%. And the rest was pure profit because he was already providing many of these services. He just wasn't charging for them. So here's another example. So Linda, who runs a successful cleaning company, cleaning service, she was charging the same rate for every house just based on square footage. But when we analyzed her costs, we found huge variations based on the house layout and complexity, the furniture density, the pet presence, the special surface materials, client requirements, and travel distance. So she created a matrix that instead of one flat rate, she had multiple factors that would affect price based on square footage, based on the layout, based on the furnishings and the density factor, a pet presence factor, special materials, and traveling. And was Linda worried about implementing this? Well, she was pretty worried. She thought clients would revolt against the more complex pricing, but what actually happened is her clients appreciated the transparency. They could see exactly what they were paying for because they were just getting a standard rate before, but now that they know what they're paying for, if they had a pet, if there was a situation with a pet, that ends up being more work. But she also created a profit accelerators, which is optional add-on service that had extremely high margin. And where she added these profit accelerators was deep carpet cleaning treatment, window cleaning, cabinet detailing, appliance deep cleaning, and garage organization. So these were all additional services that she was able to add on. And when you think about it, a cleaning service that provides window cleaning and then cabinet detailing and carpet treatment, it's pretty valuable. And so talk about adding more value. There's a great example, Chucky, of adding more value.
Absolutely.
Right. You got, window cleaning. I mean, I have house cleaning here at my house, and they won't touch the windows. So, and they certainly don't go into any appliance deep cleaning or carpet treatment or anything like that. So this is really adding more value.
Absolutely.
And I can see her getting more business because of that, just by virtue of that. And these additional services that she threw in had profit margins of 70 to 85% because they required minimal additional time while the crew was already on site. So let me give you another example that proves that this works in any industry. So there was a landscaper who was charging the same hourly rate for everything: mowing, planting, design work, everything. When he analyzed his true costs and value creation, he found he was severely undercharging for his highest value services and overcharging for basic ones. And so he implemented a value-based pricing matrix. And so instead of one hourly rate, he created different rates based on the skill level that was required, based on the equipment that was needed, based on the season, based on the project complexity, the value being delivered, and time sensitivity. And the result was his revenue increased by 40%, and he doubled his profit because he was finally charging based on value. not on time spent.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's another area where business owners need to review their pricing, is based on value that you're bringing. Going back to that person, the cleaning service,
Mm-hmm.
doing windows, that was exceptional value. So it demands a higher price, and customers will pay higher price in exchange for value. And so let me show you something a little deeper. So you take the landscaper who implemented value pricing. Well, there's another layer to this story that really drives this home on how much money most businesses are leaving on the table. So he discovered what he called an expertise arbitrage. And here's exactly what happened.
Huh.
Like most landscapers, he was charging the same rate as I mentioned, whether his most experienced foreman or his newest employee was actually doing the work. But here's what's fascinating. His customers actually noticed a difference in quality and experience. So he created experienced value tiers. So his master craftsman was this level that he had a level called master craftsman, and that was for 20 years plus experience. He had a senior expert level for 10 years plus, and he had a professional level of 5 years or more, and then a standard level, which was an entry level team. So instead of hiding this difference, he highlighted it, and he created detailed profiles for each team leader, including years of experience, special certifications, project photos, customer testimonials, and areas of expertise. And customers started specifically requesting the more experienced teams, even though they cost 40% more.
Yeah, remarkable.
Yeah, and then he used premium pricing from the top tiers to hire and train more skilled workers, creating a self-funding improvement cycle. And then there was this auto repair shop who was leaving massive amounts of money on the table with their diagnostic processes. You see, like most shops, they charged a flat diagnostic fee, but when he analyzed their actual cost and value creation, he found huge variations. So he created this value matrix where a basic scan was $79. Then that was like a level 1. And that was just a basic diagnostic scan. Then he had a level 2, which was a comprehensive diagnosis. See, he didn't realize that he had these additional levels of service. He was charging $79 for everything, even a comprehensive service, which was complete visual inspection, test drive evaluation, photo documentation. So all this stuff, now he's charging $149. He was charging $79. And then he had this level called Master Tech Analysis, which included everything in his comprehensive diagnosis, plus a senior Master Tech Inspection and component testing. So, and then video documentation instead of just photos. And he just went really deeper. And most of the customers chose level 2 or 3, where he was getting $79 all the time for diagnostic, no matter what level of service. Here, most of the customers picked the level 2 or 3, where he's getting $149 and $249. And he wasn't. And when he marketed it, he wasn't just selling a diagnostic service; he was selling certainty and peace of mind. The profit margins on the higher levels were 80% because the additional required time was minimal. And it's not more about charging more; it's about creating and communicating these values in ways your competition hasn't even thought.
Yeah.
And every service, every product, every interaction with your customer has a hidden profit potential if you know where to look and if you think deeper and deeper and deeper on that service. So when we come back from this 90-second break, we'll talk more about finding hidden profits in your business.
Nice.
Hey there, business owners. Let me ask you something. Are you tired of blending in with your competitors? Frustrated with slow growth and slim margins? Well, I've got news for you. Everything you've ever learned about growing your business is wrong. But don't worry. I'm here to let you in on a secret weapon, your position of market dominance. It's what sets you apart, makes you irreplaceable, and has customers lining up at your door. My name is Michael Barbarita from Next Step CFO. I know what you're thinking. Sounds great, Michael, but how do I find my position of market dominance? Well, that's exactly why we've created our game-changing implementation program called Next Step to Market Dominance. In just 90 days, we'll guide you step by step to a position of market dominance by uncovering your unique strengths that competitors can't touch, by crafting a message that resonates deeply with your ideal customer, by building a strategy that turns you into the go-to expert in your field. Now, this isn't theory. These are battle-tested strategies that have helped businesses like yours double, triple, and quadruple their revenue. Don't let another quarter go by struggling to stand out. It's time to dominate your market, period. Go to nextstepcfo.net/contact, fill out the form, and in the message section, put the word dominate. Or call us at 781-326-3822. That's nextstepcfo.net/contact, or call us at 781-326-3822.
So welcome back to Powerful Business Strategies. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about finding hidden profits in your business. And now I want to show you something that most business owners usually miss. And it's called problem profit centers. So most business owners see problems as pure cost centers. This is what I was talking about earlier, Chucky. But basically, you could take your biggest business headaches and actually let them become profit generators. So let me tell you about this guy, Tom, who runs a successful auto repair shop. And like every shop owner, he had a constant problem. Customers needing loaner cars while their vehicles were being repaired. And it was a huge hassle and expense. And he was spending $3,000 a month renting cars for customers, seeing it as a necessary evil. But he implemented what he called the problem to profit conversion system, and here's what he did. He analyzed how many loaner cars he needed monthly, calculated his total rental cost, researched used car prices along with the associated depreciation, looked at insurance and maintenance cost, and he did something radical. So instead of renting cars, he bought 5 used cars, and he wrapped them with his business branding so that it would be a promotional tool for when people were driving around. And he added a QR code linking to special offers in that branding that right in the car.
Okay.
And he installed tracking devices for security. And he also created a formal loaner car program. And so he turned these cars into mobile billboards and lead generations. So each car had a professional wrap advertising, special offer displays, the QR codes that I mentioned, service reminder systems. I mean, the results were incredible because after 6 months, he saved $18,000 in rental fees. He generated 127 new customer leads, created a new premium service level, and added a revenue stream from insurance companies. And so he took that problem of leasing cars out and turned it into a major profit center by buying the cars. And when you added up all the costs, it was worth it. Because on a monthly basis, whatever loans he had on those cars was being covered by just by not only the rental fees that he was charging, forget that, just by the new leads he was generating from all the advertising he had on the cars. and his customer satisfaction scores went up because now he controlled the entire experience from repair to loaner car to follow-up. He didn't have to rely on a leasing company. And so another example is Joan, who runs, this is another residential cleaning service. Her biggest problem was last-minute cancellation. She was losing thousands every month from holes in her schedule. So she created this revenue recovery system. And so instead of just accepting cancellations as a cost of doing business, she created a VIP waiting list implemented a cancellation policy, developed a rapid response team, built a flexible pricing system. And here's how that works. So customers who canceled with less than 24-hour notice pay 50%. That revenue funds a discount for customers who can fill that slot. And then, so you get a lower price if you could fill a slot that was vacated by somebody. And then VIP customers got priority access to canceled slots. And last minute fills get premium pricing. So the results were really unbelievable. Her revenue from canceled appointments went from $0 to over $1,000 per month just on canceled appointments. So I was hoping people canceled. But here's what's really powerful. The cancellations dropped by 60% because people knew there was a real cost. So they didn't mess around. They actually, they actually came to the appointments more often. Here's one for a contractor. There was a contractor who was spending $2,000 a month on dumpster fees for construction waste. They're a pretty typical cost that contractors say, ho-hum, there's construction waste. But he analyzed his waste stream and he found that 40% was reusable lumber. 25% was recyclable metal. 15% was clean fill dirt, and 20% was actual waste. So he created sorting stations at each job site. And the results were that the lumber was resold or reused. Even if it was sold for scrap, it was still reused. And the metal was sold to scrappers. The fill dirt was sold to landscapers. And actual waste reduced by 80% because only 20% was actual waste. And so he turned a $2,000 monthly cost into a $1,500 monthly profit. That's a $3,500 monthly swing on his bottom line. And this is the power of hidden profits. It's not just about finding new revenue or cutting costs. It's about looking at every aspect of your business and asking, how can this make money?
Yeah.
Even customer complaints can become profit centers. One of my clients in the restaurant business was getting complaints about wait times. So instead of just seeing this as a problem, he created a text-based wait list system that notified customers when their table was ready, that offered drink specials while they waited, promoted appetizers to hungry customers, and gathered phone numbers for marketing. And their bar revenue increased by 40%, and the customer complaints dropped to, I think it was 1 or 2%. So they turned their biggest problem into a significant profit center. Chucky, I think it's time for compliments.
Brilliant. Yeah, let's get to that. Compliments. So, and Michael, by the way, there might be 1 or 2 lingering questions from business owners just in what you've shared there. We should touch on. So I absolutely want to make sure we get to those. But let's go through business compliments. Again, this is a segment that a number of business owners find very inspiring because what we're doing is we are spotlighting business owners coast to coast across multiple industries. So the first business owner that we would like to spotlight for today's Business Compliments segment is Kate Green with Owl Head Solutions. Here's their statement. And folks, I think you'll really resonate with this. Owl's Head believes every purpose-driven brand deserves to stand out and make a lasting impact. As a design-forward communications agency, they specialize in amplifying missions that matter, whether in bioscience, conservation, or beyond. From crafting unforgettable brands and telling compelling stories to drive PR and build cohesive digital campaigns, they bring everything together with impactful design at the core. If you're ready to make your mission impossible to ignore, learn more at owlsheadsolutions.com. Again, that's owlsheadsolutions.com. Second business owner that we would like to spotlight, Jaime Manzanera, who is the CEO of Amicus Infinitum, which again, folks, research the origin of that name. It's just very, very impactful. In fact, you can start that research on his website, amicusinfinitum.com. Now, Jaime's company, here's what they do. They find the sellers for your business if you're interested in selling your business. And they do this by consulting with key stakeholders, which are their investors, as to what businesses they would like to buy and making the case for why they should buy those businesses. And here's their commitment. Their team is ready to earn your business and buy your business in less than 44 days. Michael, isn't that incredible?
Wow, that is. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's a really creative,
really creative, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The next business owner to spotlight is Yvonne Ribeiro, who's the CEO of iBrand Strategist. In fact, we're going to do a 2-for-1 here. So we're going to spotlight Yvonne as well as her colleague, Pollyanna Pasa. And Michael, here's their headline: Dream it, brand it, make it. They help ambitious entrepreneurs bring their unique ideas to life. You can find out more about the team at ibrandstrategist.com. And then the last but not least, certainly is Caitlin Harrison, who's a financial planner with Northeast Planning Associates. Here's her headline: To have no plan is in fact a plan. Isn't that incredible, Michael? Right. So no matter what season of life that you find yourself in, Caitlin and her team are certainly here to help. She provides her clients with services such as investment management, retirement planning, estate planning, as well as insurance need analysis. Find out more at weareyourplanners.com. That's the website, weareyourplanners.com. With that, Michael, I'll toss it back over to you.
Great. Thank you, Chicky. If you don't have any questions, there's one more thing I want to, one more example I'd like.
Yeah. There's sort of one quick question based on, and maybe it just kind of ties together everything. Like, why do you think business owners are a little bit nervous about how they do pricing analysis? So you've mentioned a few different strategies that involves pricing analysis. Why do you think business owners get a little kind of nervous about that?
Well, first of all, because they can't justify it in their mind. First of all, okay, that's one reason. But what they're not picking up on is if they simply add more value to their product or service, they can justify a price. Every example that I gave today, there was a reason. There was more value that was being delivered.
Absolutely.
In terms of when the price, when the price went up, and it was explained. If you don't explain it, I get it. You could get nervous about it. But what happens is that a lot of business owners just increase the price. They don't add any value. And the other thing that they do is they get into the wallet of the customer, which is a very dangerous thing, because maybe they can't afford it or they don't think they can afford it. So how can somebody else afford it? You just can't look at it like that. You got to stay out of the wallet of the customer. The customer makes a decision based on value and the problem you solve. That's it. So, with some of those examples I was giving you, there was real value. Like, for example, the company that increased their like 24-hour service. That was real value that the customer saw. Now, the customers who didn't see value in that didn't take advantage of it. Great. But the customers that did were willing to pay for it.
Exactly.
Because 24/7 is pretty good service.
Absolutely.
But lots of business owners, they get fearful when it comes to increasing prices because they think they're going to lose customers. And most of the time, if they don't add value, I understand the fear if they're not adding value to the product or service.
Great point.
So that's basically what it is. And so, unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. So to get a copy of our book, Powerful Business Strategies, simply go to our website, www.nextstepcfo.net. That's www.nextstepcfo.net. It's totally complimentary. And until next Monday at noon Eastern Time, for Chukio, my name is Michael Barbarita, and remember, don't keep doing what your competition is doing.
You have been listening to Powerful Business Strategies, finding out that everything you ever learned about growing your business is wrong. Tune in next week and every week at noon Eastern Time on W4CY Radio with your host, Michael Barbarita of Next Step CFO and moderator Chukio.